Hello YouTube, welcome back. Today is the day that we are going to start this book club. So as I mentioned in a previous video, I've been reading tRicK recently. For those of you who don't know, tRicK is a book of essays by Gia Tolentino. I'm gonna search up the Goodreads description just so we can get that right. tRicK is an enlightening, unforgettable trip through the river of self-delusion that surges just beneath the surface of our lives. This is a book about the incentives that shape us and about how hard it is to see ourselves clearly in a culture that revolves around the self. In each essay, Gia writes about the cultural prisms that have shaped her: the rise of the nightmare social internet, the American scammer as millennial hero, the literary heroine's journey from brave to blank to bitter, the mandate that everything, including our bodies, should always be getting more efficient and beautiful until we die. Wow, that was a perfect description. I'm also, speaking of Goodreads, I'm gonna link mine down below, but I've also just found out that you can like create book club groups on this, so I'm gonna try to figure out how to do that for us. But yeah, so basically the way that I thought that this would work is that each week I'll post a video on one of the essays and like chronologically, so just in order, and then I think at the end of each video I'm gonna open the floor to questions you might have about the following week's essay. And you don't need to like comment them immediately, like take your time, read the essay, and then when you're done you can come back to this video and comment them, and then I'll be able to include those questions and comments in the next week's video. But for this week, since I wasn't able to have a chance to collect your questions about it, I figured I'd just talk about the book in general and talk a little bit about my reflections on the first essay. Okay, so I'm reading the ebook of tRicK, which is something new for me. This is only the second book I've ever read, like fully in ebook form, and I'm actually liking it a lot more than I expected to. So if you want a video about like ebooks in general, I'd be happy to make that too because I have a lot of thoughts on them. Okay, so the first essay is called The Eye in the Internet, and it kind of goes through like the history of the internet and its rise in a time that was actually before I was born. Though, well, much of what she talks about technically happened like after I was born, but I was like way too young to have any familiarity with what she's talking about. I had an AOL, I did, very briefly. I think I was like 10 when that happened, and I don't remember my screen name, unfortunately. I never had a MySpace. I just went straight into Facebook in 6th grade. But yeah, I think this essay covers a lot of ground. She talks about like all sorts of different current events and like political events that have like played a role in how we know the internet to be today. Something that we do in the book club that I also want to bring onto here is picking out what we call like zinger lines that are like just like standout lines that just like kind of strike a chord with you. So I'm gonna read a few out. I usually highlight way more than necessary probably, but let's just pick a few. I don't know what actual page this is on. Okay, this is gonna be in ebook pages, so I don't know what page this is in the actual book, but on page 17 she writes, "In the run-up to the 2016 election, and increasingly so afterward, I started to feel that there was almost nothing I could do about 95% of the things I cared about other than form and opinion." Oh my god, okay, and then there's this one part on page 30 that really struck a chord for me and reminds me a lot of like how I use TikTok these days. I don't know, I had this theory like a month ago that the reason TikTok was so addicting was because not all the TikToks are actually that good, but you keep swiping because you really want to find a really good one, and when you do, you're like, oh my god, like there's gotta be more of this, I gotta keep looking, but then like the other ones are like not as awesome. Okay, let me read it. "In front of the timeline, as many critics have noted, we exhibit classic reward-seeking lab rat behavior, the sort that's observed when lab rats are put in front of an unpredictable food dispenser. Rats will eventually stop pressing the lever if their device dispenses food regularly or not at all. But if the lever's rewards are rare and irregular, the flipping a page, the rats will never stop pressing it. In other words, it is essential that social media is mostly unsatisfying. That is what keeps us scrolling, pressing our lever over and over in the hopes of getting some fleeting sensation, some momentary rush of recognition, flattery, or rage. Wow. I feel called out. Ooh, okay, and then this comes back to the idea from the beginning where she just felt like the internet exposed her to a lot of different issues, but she still just felt like the only thing she could do about it was having an opinion. On page 31, she writes, "The internet was dramatically increasing our ability to know about things, while our ability to change things stayed the same or possibly shrank right in front of us." So this is like the point where the essay starts to wrap up. So if I remember correctly, she kind of ends on this dark note that like the internet is just wasting away as time goes on and there's nothing we can do to stop it, and it's never gonna return back to the internet we were once familiar with. On page 32, she writes, "We remember that at one point this all felt like butterflies and puddles and blossoms, and we sit patiently in our festering inferno waiting for the internet to turn around and surprise us and get good again, but it won't." So sad. Oh, okay, and then she kind of explains it by saying that like in the past when the radio was invented we were worried about that, and the same thing for the TV. She writes, "In 1985, Neil Postman observed that the American desire for constant entertainment had become toxic, that television had ushered in a vast descent into triviality. The difference is that today there is nowhere further to go." Wow. I don't know if I believe that though. I feel like there's definitely somewhere further to go. I'm not sure if I agree with that, just because every time I think that like that's the end of it, like that's as far as we can go, I'm always surprised by something new that pops up, like TikTok. I would have never seen that coming. And same with Snapchat. Like I feel like every time I think something's about to like end, like I feel like we're all just framing it from our own perspective, and that's why when I stopped using Snapchat I was like, oh surely Snapchat will be over. Same with Facebook. When I stopped using Facebook I was like, surely it'll be over anytime now. But I don't think I ever accounted for all of the like moms that are on Facebook all the time now. Or when I talk to like friends that are even like a few years younger than me in college, they're all over Snapchat. And a huge thing that we've talked about in communication classes I've been in is this concept of the filter bubble. It's probably like a very popularized concept by now, but basically like your perspective is so limited because the people that you talk to on an everyday basis basically have the same ideas that you do, like maybe slightly different, but you keep bouncing the same ideas off of each other, and then you kind of just assume that everyone thinks the same way as you, even though the only reason you think that is because you're in a bubble, and it's just exacerbated online when you have this feeling that you could potentially like be able to reach everyone in the world. And so you do feel like you're engaging in conversation with a lot wider of an audience than you usually would in person. But even so, the people that you are engaging with on the internet are still gonna be in this filter bubble with you and have similar ideas as you, and algorithms select for that. And even though you might see someone who disagrees with you, you think of them as like an edge case, like an outlier, because you're not seeing that many of them. So yeah, I read this essay like a few weeks ago, so I don't remember that much of my initial impressions of it, but it's definitely something that like even revisiting it now, it's making me think a lot about the technologies that I use on an everyday basis. And I think like overall it was a great introduction to the rest of the essays that are to come. I haven't actually like read that far in the book yet, but yeah, so definitely let me know what your thoughts were on this essay down below. And once you're done reading essay number 2, ask me whatever questions you want me to talk about in the comments, because I feel like I have a tendency to just like ramble about like whatever I've been thinking about, but because of filter bubbles that might not necessarily be what y'all have been thinking about recently. So yeah, let me know. I would love to include them in next week's video. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye!